just as we do, Cripsay coming in with the Twitch Prime sub. How you doing, mate? First time in the channel, now a sub. That is some real hashtag passion right there. Guys, let's see some love in the chat for Cripsay. Thank you for your Twitch Prime sub, mate. Don't forget, guys, if you are a Twitch Prime user, you can subscribe to the channel for free if you haven't used your sub elsewhere. Just click subscribe and then click subscribe with Twitch Prime. And you can subscribe to the channel. You'll get all the benefits such as replay packs and more. And you can support the stream and help us to continue producing awesome StarCraft 2 content on a regular daily basis. Thank you, Cripsay. I appreciate the sub. And with that, we'll kick off into this semi-final. To the bottom right-hand side from Team Liquid, the blue Terran player is uThermal. And to the top left, our red Zerg, this is Guru. Again, sorry it's taken us so long to get the games going at points today, but again, as I was saying, from here on out it should be a little bit smoother. There should be no real reason for us to be delayed any further at this stage. So that's all good. Rack's coming down here for uThermal to start, and it's going to be a double gas because this was a CC first. So uThermal already changing things up in the very early stages here. Double gas obviously becomes very normal from a CC first because if you skip the initial Rack's gas, you want to try and catch up, and this will allow you to still get a Reaper out, a factory in time. And so it basically looks exactly like a Rack's gas opener, only the CC is just a little bit faster and you have a bit more economy because of it. Now because of that, it obviously puts you into a nice little position here and there. The biggest thing you have to worry about is maybe a pool first, but on a map like Neon it's very large and a pool first is very uncommon, and that's why you'll see Terran players going for this on this map, and maybe not on other maps such as Catalyst, Blackpink, those smaller, more standard maps where pool firsts are much more common and could get a lot more done if you're delaying the start of this Reaper. So that's already something that's a little bit interesting here, and you can even see that Guru is kind of happy to play the macro-oriented game because he goes straight into the third hatchery on this map. So going straight into the third base. This hatchery is just about halfway done, and Guru is going to get it completed in a moment or two, but in general, it's looking as though he just wants to play up some macro game as well. So both of them looking macro-oriented at the very start of this one now. As you will see that Reaper popping around, looking to see if he can do much else, but it is just going to stick at home just in case. As he goes into towards the reactor, the factory's on its way up next to it. And I imagine we're probably going to be seeing the starport coming down as well here. So starport drops, and that factory's just going to jump on towards the reactor to start getting out a couple of Hellions in the next few moments. Again, nothing really too surprising, too crazy. A couple of Hellions on the way, and the tech lab will start on the barracks. Again, after this very early kind of standard startup, or maybe slightly different startup, I guess, with the CC first, it still looks very standard. It looks very TvZ-esque. Hellions, the tech lab on the racks opens some options with what you do with the starport. Do we see a Banshee? Do we see a Raven? Do we just see kind of the fake cloak into a Viking and a Liberator? You know, there's a lot of possibilities there. And again, I wouldn't say any of this so far is too surprising. Now, this is a Liberator, and this makes me start thinking that maybe we see something like an Armory coming down from uThermal, and maybe even he has this build where he likes to go for like a Hellbat Cyclone push on the third base, while the Liberator looks to hit the main. So we'll see if this is something he'll go for now. First two Hellions coming out. He has the gas for Cyclones if he wants, but he is lacking on minerals. Let's see what he starts up here. No, it's just going to be another couple of Hellions for now. I'd be very surprised if it wasn't the Armory, though, at the very least, because he still does have a lot of gas in the bank, and he has to use that somewhere along the way, right? I mean, what else could the possibility here? I guess if the starport lands onto the tech lab now, a fast cloak, or a Raven will take up quite a bit of gas. Let's see where we go. More Hellions on the way out is actually the first couple of Hellions have dove in and found themselves a drone. So that's kind of nice already. Did he lose a Hellion? He did actually, so that wasn't... I didn't realize he actually already had 4 Hellions on the map. I thought it was the first 2. My time is a little bit off here because of the CC first, apparently, as that's where the gas is going to go, though. Double Armory coming down. And with the double Armory coming down, it allows uThermal to go in towards this very strong mech-based follow-up. He gets these Hellions in for 4-ball worker kills. Usually, just killing off this low kind of amount of drones is not necessarily thoroughly worthwhile kind of losing your Hellions for, because you lose a lot of map control in the early stages. But if you're playing mech, it's a bit of a different scenario, because if you're losing these initial Hellions, obviously that doesn't seem so great, but because you're going to be making so many more, you actually still have Hellions on the map to utilize. As this Liberator looking to kind of find some damage as well here and there. Guru is pretty quick to pull away with the drones, and his Queens are pretty quick to respond as well. I think that's going to be the end of this Liberator, because we are going to be seeing more Hellions arriving at the third base. And again, there's not really much to defend here. The Spankle obviously will get rid of the Hellions, but not very quickly. not right away. And so 10 drones go down here in total. And Guru has found himself losing just more and more workers throughout this so far. 12 workers killed in total. And again, you know, in a usual game, if this was Bio, maybe this would be a bit of a weak point for uThermal now because, you know, his barracks would just be finishing, he'd only have a couple of Marines. But in this case, he's kept building Hellions, he's got Hellbats, and he's actually got those Hellbats holding the wall tight. Now, Banes start to morph in. Obviously, that can make things very interesting. He has, uThermal morphs back into Hellions, he's going to find the Bane lanes. He sees it, but now that the Zerglings are able to move up the ramp, uThermal will come in to try and block with the Hellbats again. He morphs some Hellbats in over here as well. It's a little bit of indecision as to maybe where exactly Guru wants to attack with the Banes. He blows up some of those Hellbats. He has a Banshee uThermal now, which can target down Banes, target down the Banes before they reach the mineral line. Wow, perfect defense by uThermal in the end here. I mean, those last few Lings will try and get another couple of workers in the third base, but that really is pretty much all they'll do. And considering this was, what, like 20 plus Zerglings and the commitment into Banes that have been used here, I would say that this was a success for uThermal, because Guru's just lost so much. He really hasn't gained anything at all. Trying to be aggressive, but uThermal has shut him down. Again, it's kind of annoying that these Lings are still running around, but they're finally cleaned out. And uThermal continues into his mech play. First 4's on the way up, the Starport goes to Reactor. So this is going to be double 4 into Medivacs, and with that, you should be able to drop across the map. And with so many Hellions still alive and on the map, he might even be able to go in towards a bit of a Hellbat 4 push here, which could be very successful in terms of just punishing Guru for losing so many units earlier in the game. Hellions woven into Hellbats, and we're going to be seeing Lings again trying to run by for more damage. Again, at this stage, 3-4 workers is not too bad. The third base has to have SCVs pull away as well, and yes, it's lost mining time, which definitely is meaningful. It's not, it's not something you can just neglect here completely, but again, it's a lot more units of Guru that are going down, and he isn't getting, permanent damage done. He's getting very minor damage done where, yes, the workers stop mining for a while, but that's pretty much all it is. As we do see the Banshees coming in, they're going to start getting some permanent damage of their own. Being able to get rid of a couple of drones here and there obviously just slows Guru down a little bit. And the more he kind of has to rebuild drones now, the more powerful the 4 drop is going to be in the potential attack of those 4s and these Medivacs and Hellbats if he wants to commit to it uThermal. He deals with those Zerglings right there. I almost feel as though just not finishing this wall off is just like the perfect bait at this point. He's almost like, yeah, sure, please do continue to run Zerglings up this ramp and into my base. Guru donates a few more Zerglings. uThermal is not going to be complaining too much about that, I imagine. The 2 Banshees are still healthy on the top side as well. Obviously a little bit of harassment here and there, but getting pushed away by a couple of Queens, and Spore Crawler even being forced out as the 4s coming across the map. They are looking to see what they can do. Looks as though they want to drop in the main base and look to see if they can get damage done. I mean, if they can get rid of a Spore Crawler or a couple of Queens here, it allows the Banshees to come back into play, and that obviously becomes very powerful once again. Already targeting down a Queen or so. Those Banshees trying to come through the top side. Hellbats are getting ready to march in at the front. Medivacs might go the 4s away for now. These Banshees have found themselves in a lot of trouble running through a bunch of Spore Crawlers in the end. An unfortunate ending to the life of those Banshees, because they were doing pretty well so far, as we are going to be seeing a couple of creep teamers getting cleaned out on the front. And those Hellbats now just pulling back a little bit once again, as this Overlord will also get picked off. Guru supply block now, as those 4s lifting back into the Medivacs, and uThermal going to have to back away down towards the bottom right hand side once more. More Zerglings running around the right here, looking to keep up this pressure at this stage of the game. Still trying for some more run-bys as uThermal, though, the 4th base moving out and into position, is looking as though his game is really just going to plan at the moment. He's got a few Hellbats attacking on the left-hand side with a couple of 4s to support. He might be able to get himself a couple of Hydras here or so, or even just Overlords. I mean, whatever he finds is generally going to be pretty good for him. Blue Flame just finished up as well to help those Hellbats out in this fight. And again, I mean, at this stage he's going to be trading minerals for Hydras, although he actually messes up a little bit and miscontrols the 4s. Is he actually going to get out of there alive? Wow, I really thought the Hydras would target the Medivacs and then nothing gets out of there, but the 4s staying alive makes it exactly as I was starting to say. It's a great trade because you've killed off a few Hydras and you're trading out mineral-based units, the Hellbats, which are so easy to replace, right? You need something to dump your minerals in, although that said, actually, uThermal has a ton of gas that he's not using at the moment, and he could definitely do it, focusing up on some extra tank production, etc. It's not very often you see the mech player who has more gas to spare than minerals. More Hydras getting picked away at here, and just going to be seeing the few of them going down. We're just going to be seeing the barracks going over to the left-hand side. A few changes moving forwards down towards the bottom right, and we are just going to be having this army of uThermal moving out once again. A couple of 4s lifting up, Going to move out in towards the center as Hydra's pushing forwards, but against the main Terran army, I don't think there's much chance of too much being dealt here. It's interesting that uThermal expands up the right-hand side. A lot of the time we actually have, you know, the Terran player taking this base initially and then taking this gold base. And it's even interesting that he took this base early on as well, but that's because he wanted the gas and not necessarily the minerals because he was playing mech. But usually you'd see this gold base taken, and it kind of creates this kind of wall-off over here that can turn into some pretty cool fights. This Hydra fight's continuing though. The Vikings are going to land as well. I thought the Hydra's going to back away, but he continued to fight this. As we are going to be seeing the tanks starting to siege up, and uThermal's just pushing forwards. Remember, uThermal's had one hell of a game. 9,250 resources, lost to 4,550 from uThermal. I mean, that's twice as efficient play from uThermal here throughout this game. And that's only getting worse right now. These tanks are sieged up, and he doesn't really have an answer. I mean, his answer is the Vipers, right? But the Vipers have to use all of their energy on parasitic bombing the Vikings. He even loses a couple of them, and so this means he just has no energy from the Vipers to be able to abduct siege tanks, to blind cloud siege tanks. And uThermal pushing through, limits go to kind of 3.5 bases, because these mineral patches, there's only 4 of them on this base, which is again why this base generally isn't taken, but for mech it works out, because it's the usual gas camp but limited minerals. Which means that Guru is going to be limited on economy right now as uThermal plays it slowly, pushes away from this base and takes the next external base, which is this one, and then obviously towards this one eventually as well. And it's so powerful a pushing position because this entire area is just one choked up pathway. How do you set up the flank? How do you set up the position which kind of takes this down as uThermal? Oh my god, he sees the drones now. It's going to be a massacre in a moment or so when he realizes that they're all there. Maybe he doesn't realize it. Maybe he just doesn't quite see it. Vikings coming up to the top side once more, still position themselves to see what they can do. The Vipers moving back over the left once more, and we are going to be seeing this time the Hellions, they've found those drones. This is the moment, here we go, the blinding clouds will start to come down on the siege tanks. The problem is there's so many Hellions here, this is almost like pure Hydralisk, and the Hellions are actually going to do so well at just cleaning up the Hydras in the front lines. And the tanks, well, yes, a few of them were blinding clouds, but this wasn't even close when it came to the engagement. GG's, uThermal takes game 1 of this best of 3. And goes up 3. uThermal leading 1-0 right now in the series. To the bottom left hand side, our blue Terran from Team Liquid. This, my friends, is uThermal. He's up against the red Zerg in the top right hand corner, Guru. He's looking to try and bounce back. Our Polish Zerg player here. Right now, uThermal looking to make this a non-ZVZ final as well, as we are guaranteed a ZVZ in our other semi-final, Namshar versus Hate Me. But if uThermal can win here, it at least saves us from the ZVZ Grand Final, which is something. I feel like I haven't seen. I feel as though I haven't seen ZVZ in a little while, though. Honestly, that said, I actually casted some last night, but there are some weird games that I casted last night. Namshar Hate Me should be interesting. Hate Me is not someone you usually see doing this well in online events, taking down Denver then Bly. His EVZ is obviously looking pretty good so far today, so I'm intrigued to see how that goes, as you will see this Overlord of Guru moving down towards the bottom left hand corner of the map. For us in the chat, asking what's the best way to learn StarCraft? Honestly, I think a lot of the time the best way to learn is just to jump into the game and play it a little bit, mate. I mean, obviously it's a little bit overwhelming, but play a little bit and then start looking at some YouTube guides from maybe Pig and Loco and Winter. Just watching the games as well is maybe even enough. You know, if you watch a lot while also playing, you can start to kind of put things together, you know. All of a sudden it maybe makes a bit more sense why the players start to expand or so, and, you know, for example, if you're watching this game right now and you're playing Terran, you can look at this and be like, oh cool, so early on he has a Brax, gas, and he gets an expansion. It doesn't even matter if that's, you know, if you don't get it in the completely correct order, but it gives you an idea of maybe what you should go for right away, right? So, just watching the game a lot. Obviously some guides can be a bit more specific as to what to do, but honestly, the best way to learn it is just to, kind of play it a bit, just get involved in the game, you know. Going to be seeing the Reaper is going to be pulling back away from those Zerglings for the moment, as we are going to be seeing the Reaper just poking around and just trying to get a little bit more damage done on towards that Queen, etc. here and there, as we will be seeing Zergling speed with Guru starting up in the main base. So Link speed starts up, the factory coming through, and we are going to be seeing the Marine just working its way through that Overlord for now. Just looking to get a bit more damage done as the starport begins to build. The factory does that swapperoo onto the reactor. As a couple of Hellions come up, the tech lab will drop down on the base barracks. I was actually just talking about how to improve at StarCraft or how to learn StarCraft. I've actually been writing some guides for Icy Veins. If you guys play Heroes or World of Warcraft or something like that, or pretty much any other Blizzard game, you may very well have heard of Icy Veins as a place to kind of get guides and builds from, etc. And I'm currently building the StarCraft 2 section there. We have 6 Terran guides currently up and on the website, so do go check them out. We have 2 for each Terran matchup right now, so check them out, let me know what you think. www.icyveins.com, and then just click on the StarCraft 2 section and go from there. Guru gets picked off and a roach run here from Guru in the main base. There's a few more Lings on the way out and a Liberator from uThermal once again. At the moment this just looks like a straight up similar build as to what we saw last time around. Nothing really too crazy as our command center will drop on down at the front of the natural, and those Hellions just going to be used to kind of create a bit of a blockade. Guru can't really do the same as he did last time, because obviously this time the wall-off is much easier to finish off for uThermal, and his third CC doesn't build on kind of like a back base which is protected by the main and natural. So his third base will be part of the wall, and just means that the Lings won't be strewn in here as quickly or as frequently. That means that, at least for Guru's sake, it's actually probably a big positive, because honestly the Lings streaming in last time really didn't do enough. They really didn't do enough. So, we'll see where we go from here. Lings coming down towards the bottom left-hand side, the Liberator heads up to the top, and we look to see what indeed will be happening next over the next few moments as this group of this Liberator gets to do some damage, and the Hellions will deflect, and uThermal will change it up as well, by the way, going into a bio follow-up this time. He's going to have the Cloak Banshees coming onto the map to kind of follow up damage here, because this Liberator just sieges right onto the middle of the mineral line, gets a couple of drones, and is then just going to relocate as the drones come back in. I mean, he knows the Liberator is going to die, so he's just looking to maximize damage, and he gets one more drone. Fair enough, and at the same time, Lings and Roaches coming across the map here, but the Banshee is here, and that means, okay, we didn't catch the Roaches coming across from the other side, but it is going to be a constant form of damage output onto these Roaches as they try to break through the front. There's a couple of Marines which can jump into this bunker that's about to finish. Love the engineering bay here. Re-walls as this depot goes down. It just buys a few more seconds, and every second will count for a lot at the moment. As the Lings start to stream in, the SCVs, though, already repairing up that bunker. 4 Marines actually do quite a lot here as the Banshee will continue to target down Roaches. Should be looking to try and get the lower health ones where possible, and he is doing that. And he is going to continue repairing the bunker up, and if the bunker doesn't fall, then eventually here, this is not looking good at all for Guru, as the siege tank is starting to clean up some Zerglings as well, and uThermal has defended this attack so calmly, even, I would say. Yes, it didn't look, it wasn't super clean. He lost some SCVs. But when you clean up absolutely every single unit and you lose, you lose what, like 9 SCVs, the 4 Hellions and 4 Marines? Like, that's really not a lot. Banshee obviously very important to this defense, helps a lot with the damage output, but most important was this bunker, well positioned, good surround with SCVs to repair it, and the siege tank on the high ground was just kind of, an extra little bonus for uThermal in terms of being able to defend. As 1-1 upgrades are starting up, Stimpak's about to be done. As uThermal gets his first medevacs on the map, he can start to be more aggressive in terms of shutting down creep spread, hitting some of these mineral lines, and kind of going from there. Oh man, not even a small call in position here just yet, so there's going to be a little bit of counter damage. Actually only gets 2 drones. I was targeting down the Queen there for a moment or so, maybe should have actually stopped targeting the Queen and targeted another couple of drones, but either way, it's still some extra little bits and pieces, as we are going to have the a few extra Lings moving out onto the map. So more Lings going across in towards the center, as uThermal, though, is set up so nicely onto this third base. And a tank here to help defend. Those Zerglings realize that the tank is there in the most unfortunate way possible, as we are going to be seeing the Banshee just continue to move around. 4th hatchery from Guru starts up as well. So 4th hatchery coming in. Another extractor starting up in the main base. And just sort of look to see what exactly might be next. That Bayonet has continued to come on through, and the 1-1 melee upgrades from Guru also currently on their on its way along. So 1-1 melee upgrades continuing on and along here as we see 1-1 upgrades on the engineering base, also looking pretty good for now. Just as we have a attack starting to come on through, let's see how this develops. Obviously 1-1 and plus combat shields altogether could make this a very powerful push, all just as those upgrades finish up here. uThermal sieges up this tank. What's the issue for Guru? Is it just that he has only Zerglings? I think it is. With pure Zergling, it makes it so difficult for him to engage us, especially if he's going to be down 1-1 upgrades. These Lings are going to melt. And I'm just going to let you guys watch it, because these lings are going to... Yeah. Didn't even really get to see it happen. Those lings are just going to melt. They have no upgrades against 1-1 Marines who are using the tanks to actually sit in kind of a choke point